Right now, we are learning a little bit more about a shooting just west of UC Health Hospital. Aurora police say it happened at 16th and Oswego near Peoria and University Hospital. Sky 9 is over that area. We just heard from the new chief of police there, Todd Chamberlain. He recalls two phone calls, at least two calls from community members saying there was a fight in that area. He says police responded and they did see a man with an assault weapon. That's according to the chief of police. He says that the officers tried to get the man to put the weapon down. He did not. They fired. He was taken to the hospital and that person died. That's the extent of the details we know at this moment, but we know there was some kind of a fight, an altercation that got this started.
Yeah, that press conference is continuing now with the new chief of police in Aurora. Again, this is just northwest of Colfax and Peoria, so it's a busy area of town right now. We do have a crew on the scene, including our own Janelle Finch, and she's going to join us with the latest. As soon as that press conference wraps up, we'll have the full details of what did happen. This shooting late this afternoon happening in Aurora, right near UC Health and right there at Colfax and Peoria, just a little bit to the northwest of that very busy intersection.
You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and still used.
Strong words, harsh words from the judge before he sentenced former Mesa County clerk and election denier Tina Peters to 9 years in prison. Earlier this summer, a jury found her guilty of 7 charges in an election interference case. Today, Colorado's most prominent election denier learned her fate, but not before she argued with the judge.
9 News reporter Mark Salinger was there in the courtroom at the sentencing today. He's now live in Mesa County. This was a blistering rebuke of the defense by the judge, Mark. He was not pulling any punches as he was delivering that sentence.
Yeah, Tom and Kim, Tina Peters is now in the custody of the Mesa County Sheriff's Office after she was let out of the courtroom earlier today in handcuffs. Now, before the sentencing, she spoke for about 40 minutes to the judge, trying to convince him to give her a lenient sentence. She wanted just probation. Instead, she was sentenced to 9 years of incarceration. She was at times crying on the stand, trying to convince that judge to give her a more lenient sentence. But she still maintains that she did nothing wrong in allowing conspiracy theorists access to the county voting equipment that she says there was voter fraud in. Even after several attempts of trying to find that voter fraud, she has never been able to, though maintains that she did nothing wrong. She was defiant in court today, and that seemed to hurt her. At times, she got into arguments with the judge on the bench. Eventually, he sentenced her to 8.5 years in prison and 6 months in the county corrections facility. She said her constant lies hurt her.
There are many things in my mind that are crystal clear about this case. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again.
County commissioners testified today that all of her election lies and all of the conspiracy theories that she peddled cost Mesa County $1.4 million. Tom and Kim, as far as we know, this is one of the most strict sentences that we've seen anywhere in the country for election tampering. Live in Grand Junction, I'm Mark Salinger, 9 News.
Harsh sentence coming from the way that the judge was leading up to announcing what he did determine. All right, Mark, thank you very much. Of course, we'll check in with you again a little bit later here on 9 News. But as you can see, Kyle Clerk is with us now. Kyle, this is the kind of thing, like everything that involves election interference, that creates a lot of reaction on both sides of how you feel. And I imagine these last 4 or 5 hours, or 4 hours now since this sentence has been handed down, we've been getting a lot of reaction.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty intense on both sides of the political spectrum. You certainly have a lot of people on the political left that are pretty jubilant that Tina Peters got 9 years in prison. I think a lot of those folks are frustrated about the state of the current criminal cases against Donald Trump. And a lot of folks tie the two of them together, although you've got to remember, there's no sign that Donald Trump or even his cohort was ever involved in this situation in Mesa County. Tina Peters was very interested in Donald Trump, right, in trying to figure out if the election was rigged against him, but there's never been any suggestion that Donald Trump, his legal team, his associates were involved in what Tina Peters and her associates did in Mesa County. So you've got jubilation from the political left on that, and then you've got people on the far right in Tina Peters circles, including the conservative podcaster Joe Altman out of Douglas County, who of course was nominated for governor at the Republicans' last state assembly for governor. He declined that nomination, so he's kind of a power player in state politics. He's talking about how they're going to have a meeting later this week about how to deal with this trash judge and the treasonous traitors who did this to Tina. This is the same guy who has called for hangings of his political opponents. Lost in this are going to be the folks who are, I would say, more traditional Republicans or maybe more middle of the road. We heard some of those folks speak in Mesa County today, including County Commissioners Scott McInnes and Cody Davis, who said that she has humiliated their county and that she's cost them money. And they have spoken publicly about how what happened was not conservatism, it wasn't about truth, it was just a charade. And those folks kind of get lost in the shuffle of all of this. The Republicans who feel like Tina Peters betrayed and embarrassed their cause.
At the
And
center,
Scott McInnes is so well known in Colorado with such a rich history. In
he
the
represents an
Republican
older
Party.
age, though, of the Republican Party, right? He's not a MAGA guy,
true.
he's not a Trump guy, but he does have a Republican constituency in Mesa County. And there are a lot of Mesa County Republicans who want nothing to do with Tina Peters.
the last time you talked with Tina Peters, I believe, was the time where she scoffed at the concept of facing any sort of justice, much less this kind of a harsh form of justice.
I mean, in terms of, we text with some regularity. She's a good texter. But in terms of the last time that we spoke in interview form was back in March, and talked to her about a number of issues, but closed that by asking her what she thought the chances were that she and/or Donald Trump was in prison a year or two from now. As you said, Tom, she laughed, and she said, if I thought I was going to prison, I'd be on a beach somewhere relaxing. Don't know if she regrets not booking that trip, but now she is going to go to prison, and she's going to go to prison less than a year after I asked her if she thought that she was going to go to prison. If there's one thing that Tina Peters has never lacked throughout this process, it is confidence.
Yes.
And I don't know how she thought this was going to work out for her. You know what I mean? She went in there and she tangled with the judge about to sentence her.
Yeah.
She lectured him. She verbally sparred with him. She put up on a PowerPoint the evidence that he would not admit at trial. I felt like I was sitting there watching a meter run on somebody, right? If the judge was going to give her X sentence if she showed any kind of remorse or repentance, and instead she just sat there and ran the meter with more conspiracy theories and more agitation towards the judge, and he gives her 9.
And he said, you're a person of privilege, and you're going to continue to do this and continue to go on your podcast, and that's part of why.
Because she says she's a victim, right?
Yeah.
She says that she is a victim. She is the one being targeted, and he said, no, you're not. You're a privileged woman. You use that privilege to get fame and fortune and so forth, and now you're going to pay for it.
Well, there will be more on this, not just here, but around the country, impacts that we'll be continuing to talk about. Thanks for stopping in at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.
You can see much more of our coverage of the sentencing right now on our free 9 News app. We want to get back to what we were talking about, what's happening in Aurora. Officers shot and killed a man that they were called to a scene of a fight. The new police chief there has just briefed reporters. And
our 9 News reporter Janelle Finch is there as well. She's live now with the latest. Janelle?
Tom and Kim, like you said, we just finished up a presser with the Aurora Chief of Police who told us about what happened here at Oswego and Colfax. Like you said, about 2 hours ago, Aurora Police say they responded to a fight at a nearby apartment where officers did shoot and kill a man. We do know now that this happened, like said, around 1:30 this afternoon for a fight at an apartment complex called Brent's Place. Callers reported seeing an AR assault weapon. Officers found the suspect across the street carrying the weapon. They asked him to drop it. He didn't comply, and then officers shot him. He has been taken to the hospital where he did die, but we do know that officers were not hurt. The chief says he was troubled by the proximity of this scene and how close it was to schools. And like said, the hospital in the area, we're about a half mile away from the children's hospital. We also don't know how many shots were fired or how many officers were involved. We do know that there are 2 officers at the station for questioning. This is kind of all that we know right now, but we're hoping to gather more information from some of the people that are nearby. We do know that there aren't any people who are in these apartment complexes, or they weren't asked to, or this scene has been taken care of since there is no active threat. We do know that there is no shelter in place, so people are in these apartment complexes, so we are hoping to learn some more information, and when we do, we'll come back to you with the latest. Until then, live in Aurora, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Thank you, Janelle. Bread's Place, well known for so many people in Colorado. Many families that have children at Children's Hospital from out of state are able to stay there and live there. So it's a well-known area. Thank you, Janelle.
Shocking for those people there,
Yeah.
of course. We'll have more coming up. Thanks, Janelle. Maybe you took a look outside and noticed a bit of a haze on what could have been a beautiful blue sky day. That is actually smoke from two large wildfires in Wyoming that has been pushing down into Colorado. You may have also noticed a little bit of relief as far as all the heat we felt yesterday. Kathy Sabin's with us now. Things cooled down nicely today.
A dramatic shift with that early morning cool front, Tom. Much cooler today and windy for a time. Temperatures today in the 60s and low 70s, a far cry from the record high of 89 we reported yesterday. Beautiful up in the high country today. We're currently 69 degrees in Denver. How great does that feel? 20 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. So a significant cool front that has also brought in a fair amount of wind that we're tracking. Much cooler today, warmer for the weekend, a potential record high temperature over the weekend. Today, it's all about the wind, which is still very gusty out of the northeast across extreme northeastern Colorado. The impact of a cool front that will bring wind and dry conditions, putting Denver under a fire weather watch on Saturday. Fire weather warnings out for the northern mountains, so this brief cool down, something to enjoy. That will not be the trend heading into the weekend. I'll have the extended outlook in detail coming up.
Today we learned that no criminal charges are going to be filed against a Denver police officer who shot and injured a man last month.
The incident was all caught on body-worn cameras obtained by 9 News shortly after the shooting. It happened on 19th Street between Blake and Market after an officer heard a gunshot and later approached a man with a gun.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands right now.
In this video, you can see the man move the gun in his hand. We froze the video as one of the officers shot him in the arm and took cover. The Denver DA's office says the officer had reason to believe the man was going to fire at him or other officers. The use of force was justified and no charges will be filed.
We turn now to a case that is already getting a lot of attention, but the case against the dentist in Aurora, who stands accused of poisoning and killing his wife, keeps growing stranger. Police say that James Craig tried to persuade a former inmate to help him find women who would give false testimony at his murder trial.
Our partners at the Denver Gazette obtained court documents with new details. Kelly Rinke's been following this trial from the beginning, and she joins us now. This is very bizarre.
Very bizarre. In a hearing in September, the lead detective in the case testified about this elaborate plan. She said Craig wrote a letter to a former jailmate in April asking him to find 1 or 2 attractive women, people who would be willing to lie to the district attorney and his attorneys. Craig is now facing an additional felony count of perjury for this. According to these court transcripts, Craig tried to send the letter to the former inmate's mother. The message never got to them because the address wasn't right. It was returned to the jail, and that's how police found it. The detective said Craig wanted a woman to testify his wife, Angela, learned about their affair. This woman was supposed to say Angela wanted a divorce and hoped the woman would help her frame Craig for a crime. In exchange, Craig told the former inmate he'd offer free dental care to his mom. Craig faces a murder charge for killing his wife Angela by poisoning her protein shakes. Again, this is the second time Craig has been accused of asking an inmate to help him with his case. Prosecutors say Craig asked that inmate to place letters at his house that would appear to be written by Angela, saying she was suicidal. He is scheduled to go to trial in November. Tom.
This case already has attracted a lot of attention. This will draw even more attention to James Craig in the case that stands.
Yeah, we'll be following it.
All right, Kelly, thanks.
It's a busy 4 o'clock hour. We're following more breaking news. A jury has reached a verdict in the federal trial for 3 officers facing charges in the death of Tyree Nichols, a black man in Memphis. Nichols was fatally beaten in 2023. His death led to national protests and calls for changes in policing. The jury found all 3 former officers guilty of witness tampering. One was guilty of civil rights violations causing bodily injury, but was acquitted on the more serious charge of violating Nichols' civil rights causing death. Memphis police fired 5 officers following Nichols' deaths. Nichols ran from a traffic stop, but video showed officers pepper spraying him, tasering him, and beating him a block from his home as he yelled out for his mother.